You're watching Oregon's News at 7 on Oregon's Fox.
Western Oregon's latest snow prompting a Fox weather alert day this afternoon. Another round of heavy snow is possible across valley areas tonight and into tomorrow. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Claire Brennan. Chief Meteorologist Josh Cozart joins us now with a closer look at Oregon's latest winter blast. Josh, what can you tell us?
Well, Claire, kind of excitement for us all across Western Oregon today with a few of those snow flurries falling, again prompting that weather alert day. But you've been in no short supply at home of providing some great images of those snow flurries falling anywhere from the valleys all the way to the shoreline of Oregon. And we'll continue to see maybe an isolated snow flurry or two as we work our way through the remainder of this evening. But overall, our skies are really starting to dry here across Western Oregon. Still holding on to just a little bit of that moisture on the east side of the Umpqua Valley over the high terrain. Likely going to see some tricky travel over Highway 138, and just the same for all mountain passes, as snow-packed roadways are a very real possibility, even as close to home as the southern Willamette Valley in the southern hills. But here's a look at the wide swath of snow that we saw just dumped over the Pacific Northwest and the Cascades in particular, and not necessarily making out some of the snow that we did see drift its way along the I-5 corridor. But snow elevations, they are on the move, expected to rise as we work our way into Friday, but we dry things out by the time we get into Sunday and Monday, so the threat of snow really diminishes later this evening. You can see Santiam Pass with those snow-packed roadways, although it looks like maybe some shoveling crews moved through it just recently, but it's going to be a slow go at things if you're up in elevation tonight. Claire.
Thank you so much, Josh. With that snow accumulating on and off in the South Hills, Eugene Public Works is prepared to convert trucks into snow plows and de-ice response vehicles when needed. Crews have been using trucks mainly around this time of year for leaf pickup and deliveries, but they're ready to go in the event of snow and ice.
Right now, it looks like anything that we get won't be a plowing event, so it's very delicate for us. We the same trucks that we utilize for winter storm response, we use for leaf pickup and delivery season. We need to make sure that we're focusing on our attention in the right spot.
Richardson says crews are really paying attention to icy spots such as bridges and overpasses. Crews plan to de-ice before freezing temperatures come in tonight, along with sanding and plowing depending on conditions. And the Roseburg Warming Center will open tonight to provide a warm and dry overnight shelter for the community's most vulnerable residents, and they're still in need of volunteers. Organizers say tonight's opening is an emergency opening due to the unexpected cold and wet conditions. The shelter will open at the Roseburg Senior Center, which is 1614 Southeast Stevens Street in Roseburg. Turning to news in Lane County, yesterday around 1:30 p.m., Lane County Sheriff's deputies responded to a deadly crash on River Road. The sheriff's office says a red Jeep was traveling north when it went off the road and hit two trees. The driver of the SUV did not survive the crash, and no other vehicles were involved. The driver's identity is being withheld until next of kin is notified. The Atkinson Food Room at the Lindholm Service Center on Highway 99 in Eugene is closing up. St. Vincent de Paul plans to repurpose it and use it as a daytime room for those experiencing homelessness to escape the cold. St. Vincent will be guiding the community to other food pantry services across Lane County, including many close by the Atkinson Food Room. But because of the ever-growing homeless population, the nonprofit will be able to provide them much-needed shelter.
Again, that the community will be supportive of any efforts that we can around the unhoused. It is a much different year this year than it was last year when it was much milder. And this cold snap and this cold period will be very difficult for the unhoused.
Over the past 12 months, St. Vincent de Paul has served more than 300,000 meals through a variety of programs serving the community. The Atkinson Food Room will be closed on December 31st. The Eugene Police Department released information about the implementation of Measure 114, which was approved by Oregon voters last month. Measure 114 requires a permit to purchase firearms, and applicants would need to complete safety training and pass a criminal background check. EPD saying there are still questions and concerns to be ironed out, like how exactly to pay for the permitting process, which the department says won't be ready when the law goes into effect on December 8th. EPD is also working to acquire the proper equipment required to complete the background checks and the proper staff to facilitate the process. The department says in order to meet the requirements of the law, EPD may need to reduce or shift other public safety resources to cover the costs. Eugene City Councilors are set to interview 5 people for the vacant Ward 7 seat. It's been vacant since the successful recall of City Councilor Claire Surratt back in October. Those interviews will happen during a special meeting on Monday at 5:30 p.m. The City Council planning to appoint an interim counselor by the end of this year. Eugene nonprofit Sexual Assault Support Services are expanding their office to provide more opportunities for sexual assault survivors and their loved ones. These survivor services include 24-hour crisis calls and emergency medical advocacy. The new space will allow for survivors to return to more in-person programs after the pandemic hiatus. This year alone, the service center says there was a 140% increase in the overall demand for sexual assault survivor support.
Truly, our goal here is to provide the support that survivors in our community need. And that sometimes means changing and adapting as the needs of the survivors in our community change and adapt. And that's really what moving into this new space is about. It's about being able to adapt and grow in response to those needs.
SASS is always looking for new donors, volunteers, and interns. They're currently accepting applications for the next volunteer advocacy training in spring 2023. You can find more information about that from the link that's at the bottom of your screen. And 2 University of Oregon professors were involved in co-authoring a new report released today on youth and digital technology from the National Scientific Council on Adolescence. Professors Jennifer Pfeiffer and Nick Allen contributing to the report, which recommends regulations and policies for digital technology to promote positive development for young adolescents. The report explains what research says middle schoolers need during those years and explores findings from studies on digital technology used by youth that could help policymakers and digital technology companies promote positive development and limit harm. For more information on the report, you can go to developingadolescent.org. Tools and resources are now becoming more accessible for EV drivers here in Oregon. AAA announcing that the city of Bend will join Portland in providing mobile charging for EVs on the roadside. AAA Oregon and Idaho first launched this service as part of AAA's first pilot program back in 2011. At the time, Portland was one of 6 cities across the country where mobile EV charging was offered. AAA service trucks with mobile EV charging can provide about 10 to 14 miles in range in about 30 minutes, so EV drivers can get home or to a charging station. A bill to prevent a nationwide railroad strike now heads to President Biden's desk. The Senate voting 80 to 15 a day after the House approved the measure. President Biden had called on Congress to move quickly to avert a devastating shutdown. Industry leaders say it would cost the U.S. economy $2 billion a day. Critical shipments would have been stopped early next week ahead of the Friday strike deadline. At a press conference with France's president, Biden boasted about the deal he helped broke back in September.
I negotiated a contract no one else could negotiate. What was negotiated was so much better than anything they ever had.
The contract now being imposed includes 24% raises. 4 out of 12 unions rejected that deal, wanting more paid sick leave. However, that measure failed in the Senate, falling 8 votes short of the 60-vote threshold. That led Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley to vote no on the overall deal because it didn't include the sick leave. He voted yes on the sick leave measure, but when that failed, he voted no on the deal. Here's what he said yesterday before the Senate voted about the lack of sick leave provided to rail workers.
It's kind of like, 18th century coal mines in France where powerful companies said, show up to dig your coal and here's what you're paid and you don't get any sick leave. And too bad if you have a medical problem, you're going to be unemployed and your children are going to starve. I mean, it's just a ruthless arrangement. There has to be sick leave in this contract.
Biden says that remains one of his goals, and not just for rail workers, but for all employees. The Biden administration faces another setback in its effort to revive the student loan debt relief policy. An appeals court in New Orleans denies the Biden administration's request to block a pause on the student relief program. The program was struck down after a Texas judge ruled last month that the program was illegal. The move sets the stage for the U.S. Justice Department to take the case to the U.S. Supreme Court. The White House already extended a pause on student loan payments until June, while court battles over the program continue. About 16 million people are approved for student loan relief prior to the recent court decisions. Meanwhile, Ye, the rapper formerly known as Kanye West, will no longer be acquiring Parler. His decision to abandon the deal to buy the conservative social media platform was mutual, according to Parler. Sources say Ye's ongoing business challenges were a factor in the decision. The rapper has previously claimed that the IRS has frozen some of his accounts over an unpaid tax bill worth $50 million. The announcement about Parler came hours after Ye made a controversial appearance on InfoWars today. Speaking to conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, he continued to make anti-Semitic comments like those that cost him a lucrative shoe deal with Adidas. Still to come on Oregon's News at 7, motorcyclists are getting ready for a special toy delivery as part of a yearly charity drive. We'll hear from the people who make Bikes for Tykes possible.
Snow news. It's the first day of meteorological winter, and that comes with the valley's snow potential. Eugene, Oregon normally sees 1.5 inches of snow every December. That makes December the snowiest month, at least from 1991 to 2020.
We're in a La Nina thing.
There is a chance that we could see a snowier than normal winter.
And this is already the second time we're talking about snow in Eugene this season.
You're watching Oregon's News at 7 on Oregon's Fox.
Welcome back. A year-long push to put Christmas wishes under trees on December 25th comes to a celebratory close this Saturday. Bikers on the South Coast are revved up for a special delivery in Coos Bay and North Bend. Gold Meadows has more.
On Saturday at 11 a.m., it's kickstands up and riders out for the 23rd Bikes for Tykes toy run. Hundreds of bikes and toys will be escorted by an expected 20 cars, 30 bikers, and local fire departments for delivery to the Coos Bay North Bend Rotary Club's Bus Jam Toy and Food Drive.
Weimar in North Bend donate the toys that we have bought already, and then we'll leave Weimar in North Bend and go to Weimar in Coos Bay, and we'll donate all the bicycles that we got, and there's 200 and some bicycles, total of over $40,000 worth of toys and bikes and gifts that we're donating due to the generosity of the community and the fundraisers that we do.
Coos Cycle Supply and friends collect toys, bikes, and cash year-round ahead of Bus Jam. They even load up carts themselves shopping for toys with cash donations.
All of our fellow riders are motorcycle enthusiasts that support a lot of this stuff. And a lot of people who ride motorcycles are people that are oriented to support toy runs, showing this community what these groups can do when we come together and make it happen.
Riders are happy to meet the great anticipation of spectators.
We have people that sit alongside the road that wave and honk at us and take pictures, so it's a big thing in this community. We have a lot of people that sit and watch, so the more the merrier on the parade.
Sandy Evans of South Coast Bikes for Tykes says it warms the hearts of children in need and of those more fortunate.
We've got 8 grandchildren, 8 grandboys, and 5 great-grandchildren, and they have grown up in the shop with us, doing this toy run, stacking these toys, and learning that it's not about what you get, it's about what you give. That's the main thing that we learned from this with all the kids. They learn to do things right.
Donations can be made at Coos Cycle Supply. In Coos Bay, I'm Gold Meadows.
Thanks so much, Gold. KDOC Radio and the Coos Bay North Bend Rotary Club have held the Bus Jam Toy and Food Drive for nearly 2 decades. Meanwhile, the Three Rivers Foundation is taking applications from nonprofits for a total of $1 million in grants. The foundation, which is a charitable organization of the Confederated Tribes of the Coos, Lower Umpqua, and Siuslaw Indians, has been giving out these awards for more than 10 years. They're looking to support organizations involved with education, health, the environment, and more.
A Fox Weather Alert Day remains in place after seeing sights like this. This was Spencer Butte just as Oregon's latest snow squall pushed its way through the southern Willamette Valley and coating the Eugene-Springfield area with a nice little fresh layer of snow just in time for the first day of meteorological winter on this December 1st. Now, sights like this likely coming to an end tonight, but still holding steady as our temperatures dip below freezing, and we're still picking up on just a stray little snow flurry or two over the high terrain of the Cascades in eastern Douglas County. More than likely just about the same for eastern Lane and Lynn County as well, but overall those clouds are starting to break apart tonight, and that will only allow for the cooler temperatures to find their way back in western Oregon. But our snow elevations, they're on the move. You can see over the past several hours, we've actually moved from the valley floor up to about 1,000 feet. So any moisture that will likely fall, likely falling in the form of rain. But we are going to start to dry things out for Friday. Saturday, the chance of rain returns, but you'll notice that snow elevation only over the Cascade passes, where we'll likely still hold on to a snow flurry or two. So that puts additional snowfall all the way through Saturday at just at about a ½ inch to maybe an inch, inch and a half, 2 inches for Santiam Pass. Great for those skiers and snowboarders alike, but we're pretty much done with additional snowfall for the I-5 corridor and for the South Coast if you're lucky enough to actually pick up on a snow flurry or two. But our latest low, it's on the move as our next low pressure system with an occluded front remains just offshore. That will help to increase the cloud coverage for tomorrow. Also help to warm us up a little bit, put us closer to what's normal. Many of us only warming up into the mid to upper 40s, but this could potentially bring a raindrop or two for the South Coast, not only for Friday evening, but lingering into Saturdays. This whole system continues to push its way to the south. We might be able to pick up on a little bit of that wraparound moisture for the I-5 corridors. Those clouds still remain in abundance. You can see that heavy rain just offshore until we get to Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, expecting to see the widespread rain for the South Coast, but it's the I-5 corridor that will likely pick up on just a stray raindrop or two, and of course the snow falling over the high terrain of the Cascades. So that will put our 48-hour rainfall totals at maybe about a ¼ of an inch to a ½ inch for the South Coast up and down the I-5 corridor, a couple of 1/100ths of an inch all the way up to about a 1/10 of an inch for places maybe like Junction City. And it will be snowing over the high terrain of the Cascades as our early morning lows fall back to look at Oak Ridge, 25, 29 Corvallis and Albany, and right at about freezing for the Umpqua Valley and close to freezing for much of the South Coast. Forecasted daytime high temperatures back to the upper 40s, low 50s for us along the coastline. That's a welcome sight after the chilly temperatures we saw today, and then the rest of us warming up into the mid 40s. Eugene Springfield 7-day forecast expecting the return of some wet weather on Saturday, primarily in the afternoon hours. Not going to be a super soaker event, but maybe a light rain shower or two is a possibility as we slowly start to dry things out Sunday and for much of next week. But temperatures still sitting slightly below the normal being 49 now for this first day of December. Gosh, it's hard to believe we're in the last month of 2022, and that's going to usher in some windy conditions for us along the South Coast as that low remains just offshore. We're talking about wind gusts nearing about 20 to 25 miles per hour. The wet weather likely on Saturday, where it might be a little bit more of a super soaker event. When I say that, nearing about a ½ inch of rain. That's the Umpqua Valley. Also expect maybe a stray raindrop or two for Saturday. Temperatures still remaining into the mid 40s when we should be hanging at about 50 degrees, so anywhere from about 4 to 5 degrees cooler, especially as we move into next week. But the sky's really starting to dry out, something we don't typically see here, Claire, as we move into the first full week of December.
Definitely, Josh, and the snow was the perfect way to mark the 1st of December. I would say it doesn't look more like Christmas or winter than this.
And it's always nice to observe it from the warmth of inside as opposed to being out in it.
Definitely. Well, that's why we got our turtlenecks on.
Yep.
And coming up in sports, a very unique atmosphere in Corvallis today for the Oregon State women's basketball team. Highlights are on the way. That's after the break in our sports report.
On October 1st, Beavers quarterback Chance Nolan left the Utah game with a neck strain. Head coach Jonathan Smith originally ruled Nolan as day-to-day, but in the 2 months since the injury, it became clear it was the beginning of the end for Nolan with the Beavs. Thursday on social media, Nolan making it official that he has entered his name into the transfer portal. In 2021, he led the Beavers to their first bowl game appearance in 8 years. In 2020, he played a huge role in OSU's win over Oregon. The third-year freshman Ben Gulbranson has led the Beavers to a 6-1 record since replacing Nolan at quarterback. The College Football Playoff Board has announced it will expand from 4 teams to 12 teams beginning in the 2024-2025 season. Earlier this year, the board voted in favor of this expansion before it to start in 2026. However, the College Football Management Committee asked for it to happen sooner. The national championship game for that postseason will be in Atlanta in January 2025. Nothing better than field trip day at school. For thousands of youngsters in the Corvallis area today, that meant a journey to Gill Coliseum for some college basketball. A record 8,000 students packing Gill Coliseum for the Oregon State women taking on Southern. First quarter, Beavers starting hot. Talia von Oelhoffen swings it to Lily Hansford. She knocks down the three, OSU leading 22-10. Skipping ahead to the third, Jelena Mitrovic kicks it out to von Oelhoffen. She uses the pick, drains the triple. Talia 5 for 6 from three-point range. The kiddos saw a thumping. Beavers win by 53 to improve to 5-2. OSU back at it Saturday at noon when they'll host Jackson State. We've got 2 men's games on the docket tonight. Pac-12 openers for both Oregon and Oregon State at 7 p.m. in Corvallis. Oregon State looking to end a 4-game losing streak. They'll host a Washington team that is 6-1 so far. Then at 7:30 in Eugene, the Ducks will try to get back to 500, taking on Washington State. We'll have highlights from both of these games tonight at 10. But for now, Claire, let's send it back to you.
Thanks so much, Hayden. And coming up on Oregon's News, this 3-month-old elephant is named for the Queen of England, and for her first Christmas, she's being treated like a queen. We're showing you her royal feast after the break. Finally tonight, a baby elephant in the UK is enjoying her first Christmas. Keepers at Whipsnade Zoo created a winter wonderland for its Asian elephant herd, and this little one has a fun time exploring. 3-month-old Nang Phaya was treated to a 20-foot-high forest of Christmas trees to play with and snack on. She lives with her mom, Donna, as well as her grandmom, Kaylee, and the rest of her herd. The young calf was born in August and named the Thai word for queen after Queen Elizabeth II, who visited Nang Phaya's mom in 2017. Zookeepers say it was only appropriate her first Christmas be fit for a queen.
I like that. They seem like they like it too. And, you know, Claire, a lot of our trees here across Western Oregon, they look like that typically, but after today, we were able to pick up on a little bit of that snowfall across the region too.
More of a winter wonderland look than usual.
That it was. Thankfully, the snow coming to an end tonight, but we will expect to see a little bit more rain, which will put our trees back to the lush greenness that our elephant friends got to experience.
Definitely. Can't wait. And thanks for joining us for Oregon's News at 7. We'll be right back here at 10. Have a great night.